The trouble with Luton is, we've lost a town.
Do you feel like that?
I think every big city and town's gone in this country.
Really?
I really do.
Yeah.
And the people that don't live in big towns and cities don't realise what's going on.
Right.
That's the problem. That's not being racist, that's being factual. Because if you went to Mecca and wanted to put a Catholic church there, you couldn't.
I'm Stacey Dooley, and this is Luton, where I was born. I went to school here. I even worked at the airport, and then I moved away. But now I'm coming home to find out if it's true that Muslim extremists are taking over my town.
Please, start to hurt!
You and I will have to...
look naked on the street.
Do I look naked? Do I really? And if this is why the white right wing are on the rise here, I wanted to find out what's happening on the streets of my hometown. I want to track down the people I grew up with, including this man, Stephen Lennon.
Hey, anyone who cuts off people's hands, I disagree with.
I used to know Stephen. Now he runs the English Defence League, a right-wing protest group launched in Luton to oppose what he sees as Islamic extremism.
You get my head kicked in knocking about with you in the town.
Coming back home, I had no idea what I was letting myself in for.
You are a naive woman.
Don't you dare speak to me like that.
No, this is my hometown as well. Listen.
Luton is notorious. You know, every time you hear a story to do with extremism or terrorism, Luton's somehow involved. When I was growing up, I've been in Luton all my life, I never, ever, ever heard the words extremism, terrorism. It was never an issue for me. And now, whenever you say, oh, I'm from Luton, they're the words that creep up, you know, and it's a shame. You don't want your hometown to be associated with that kind of carry-on, but unfortunately, at the moment, it is.
Over the last 4 years, I've been travelling, making films abroad and living away from Luton. Now I'm back and I want to find out from my old friends why my hometown's becoming so divided.
It's back in my roots.
And can anything be done about it?
So I'm going to have to sort of become a bit of a stalker, aren't I? I'm going to have to get on the old social networking Facebook. I'm going to have to get on the phone, just ring people, you know, that I used to go to school with, I used to knock about with. So I just really want to hassle everyone I know.
The first person I want to talk to is English Defence League leader Stephen Lennon. I haven't seen him for 6 years.
I grew up in the same area as Stephen and I knew of him and we spoke. You know, we weren't pally-pally, but we knew each other. I don't ever remember hearing him say things that I thought, geez, man, that's racist. It's nuts to think that he's the leader of the UDL. It's crazy. And I don't know why, and it would be interesting to know why.
I hear Stephen is in town to do a radio interview.
I'm about to make a phone call to BBC Three Counties Radio. They're the local radio station. They're literally just down the road. So the guy, Toby, he's actually having a big discussion, a big debate, because it's the 10th anniversary for 9/11. So I know he's got a couple of people coming in talking about it, you know. How does Luton perceive Muslims now? Is it different to before? La la la. So I'm going to give him a tinkle.
So we've got a few different people coming on. We've got a guy called Inayat Bungawala, and then we've also got Stephen Lennon, who is the leader of the EDL.
I made up that I'm able to come down and have a listen. It sounds great. I would be lying if I was saying, oh, you know, I don't feel nervous, I don't feel uneasy about speaking to Stephen about what he thinks, because I do. I know him and that makes it tricky.
Hello, morning, it's Stacey Dooley. I've come to see Toby.
Okie dokie, I'll let you in.
Lovely tar, thank you. When I get to the radio station, the debate is in full swing, but Stephen Lennon hasn't showed up.
How do you think Muslims in Luton are viewed by the rest of the community, non-Muslim?
First of all, we have to make clear that the whole 9/11 terrorist attacks were designed to polarize communities. They were designed to entrench a them and us mentality.
The EDL, we're very proper, you know, we've got a voice, we've got really valid points, we want to tell you them, but we're not going to turn up. Hello, how's things?
Yeah, nice to see you.
Toby, thanks for letting me have a listen.
That's all right, no worries.
Hello, how's things? I'm Stacey, lovely to meet you. Hello, Jim. You all right?
Yes, I put on Facebook, I'm appearing on this, and I've had numerous people say, Jim, you cannot debate, share a platform with EDL. but I felt it was an opportunity I could not miss.
Yeah.
They have a democratic right to express themselves, and providing they do it within the law, and I support that for any group.
Have you met any of the people in the EDL, Jim?
Well, I met them from a distance, separated by police lines. But I've gone to many demonstrations. They're not a nice bunch of people. Individually, you can talk with them. And they have got certain concerns, which are general concerns that the general population has.
Yeah.
But the way they articulate that as a group is frightening.
No EDL at the radio station, so I see if Stephen's at work.
This is Stephen's shop. It's very flash, isn't it? No one's in, I don't think. No. It's funny, isn't it? When you think of the head of EDL, you think of a very man's man and grrr and tattoos and a bald head. And actually, he owns a tanning shop, and he's constantly got a glow, which is quite funny. Gotta look good if you're in the media all the time.
I later find out Stephen's been arrested for taking part in a protest. I didn't know when he'd be back, so I decided to head towards the part of town where he's hated most. Luton is 30 miles north of London. It's most famous for its airport and Vauxhall cars, which was the main reason Asian immigrants came here. In 2000, however, the factory relocated, leaving thousands unemployed.
I used to work for Vauxhall myself for 8 years as well.
Wow, did you?
Yes, it was quite nice. It's a shame that the company went down.
Yeah. Vauxhall closing down was a real shame for Luton,
It was the
I think.
downtown to Luton.
Yeah, it's a lot of jobs to go just straight away.
That's it.
Those Asian immigrants working in the factory started moving into one area called Berry Park, and the nearly 30,000 strong Asian community has remained here even after Vauxhall massively scaled down in Luton.
This is Berry Park. It's quite a famous part of Luton, actually. It's where a lot of the Muslim population live, loads of Asian people live here. And I've not actually shopped here at all, I don't think. I think I've literally been here once or twice. Drove through it and stuff. But it's really interesting because, you know, we are in an English town, but you could easily mistake it for not being English. Easily. There's loads of different mosques in Luton, is that right?
It is, yeah.
How many roughly would you say?
Roughly, we're looking between at least 30 mosques in Luton town area.
Wow. That's quite a lot, no?
It's quite a lot.
Yeah.
It didn't take long to witness firsthand the extremism I've been hearing about.
UK go to hell! UK go to hell! British police go to hell! British police go to hell! Stockholm! La ilaha illallah! La ilaha illallah!
I wasn't sure what they were marching for, but tensions were running high.
Your sister, brother! Your mother! Where is the shame? How dare they touch a woman?
It turns out the demo was in response to the arrest of local woman Mona Thorney, whose husband set off a bomb in Stockholm in 2010.
I cannot believe this. I've never seen anything on this scale before. And it breaks my heart to think that this is happening in my town.
Hands off Muslims! Hands off Muslims! Hands off Muslims!
Everyone's got a right to protest, but I found their chanting provocative and extreme.
British police go to hell! British police go to hell!
This is a message to stop oppression.
Police burn in hell. British police burn in hell.
Yeah, because
No real Muslim wants anyone to burn in hell.
yeah, but for what they've done, for the
You
consequences
can't
of their
pick and
actions.
choose. You can't pick and choose. Come
You
on.
either believe or you disbelieve.
You know
You
what?
choose to wear this, I choose to wear that.
You and I will
That's
have
why you
to.
look naked on the street.
Do I look naked? Do I really? I don't look naked.
You're trying to seduce.
No one's trying to seduce me, and I'm not trying to seduce anyone. You shouldn't judge me how I try not to judge you. You are. You've just said who am I trying to seduce? No one.
I said I am judging.
Well, I don't judge you because I'm above that.
Go wear some clothes.
Excuse me, go and put on some clothes. How you choose to live, no. How you choose to dress like that, I choose to dress like this.
this. You don't start.
No, it's okay.
Don't you dare speak to me like that. No, this is my hometown as well.
All right, stay then.
No, I'm walking.
Okay. Stop pointing.
I am walking. No, I can do what I want.
Okay, you can.
That girl's just... I don't mind. Point away. Point away. Because you're not scaring me. I try my hardest to sympathise with people who are maybe different to me. And it's a tiny minority that play up. Who are you trying to seduce? Go and put some clothes on. You look naked. Oh.
They've been arrested. They've been harassed by the police.
Such a shame.
There's no evidence whatsoever.
Do you think it's fair that you should say British police need to burn in hell?
That's the freedom of speech. If they wish to say it, they can say it.
In Islam, doesn't it say that you have to respect the law of the land that you're living in?
No, it doesn't.
I thought it did. One of the saddest things is people have brought their kids along. Any extreme group with extreme views should probably try and leave their kids out of it until they're old enough to make their own decision. So how are we ever going to get there if they keep involving kids? Maybe I could get some sense out of Anjum Chowdhury, who I'd seen in the media spouting lots of extreme Islamic ideas. Please, mate, you tell me who this group are and why you're out today.
Yeah, you find here today a number of people from Luton who are just ordinary Muslims from the local community. Some of them used to be part of Al-Muhajirun or Muslims Against Crusades. And ultimately they're here today because of the raid of 2 Muslim women earlier this month. And they were also strip searched, so that is a violation of their honour.
What's the solution? You know, if Muslim people are in the wrong and they are committing crimes, you know, no one's above the law.
If the law of the land is Islamic, we respect the law of the land.
What if it's not Islamic?
If it's not Islamic, then the law of the land and those who make it can go to hell, quite honestly, because Allah said in the Quran, in chapter 33, verse 1, He said, "O Prophet, fear Allah and do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites." Is David Cameron a Muslim or a disbeliever? Guys,
I can't speak on Cameron,
so you can't obey him. So he can go to hell, as well as all of the other leaders.
Do you think I should go to hell?
Let me tell you something.
I'm a non-Muslim.
You're on your way to the hellfire because you're a non-Muslim. All non-Muslims are destined for the hellfire.
Do you really believe that?
Yes, and you will be fueled for the hellfire as well. But the fact is that you have an opportunity to change.
That hurts me to think that you think that of me because you don't really know me and you think I'm destined to hell because I'm non-Muslim.
You said you're not a Muslim, so that's enough for me to know that you're not Muslim. If you're not Muslim, you're destined for the hellfire unless you change.
I find it sad that anyone would preach such a damning message. The only consolation is that of the 30,000 Muslims living in Luton, there are less than 100 at this rally. I don't even know how to sum up in words, even to tell you how I'm feeling right now. I feel completely gutted. I'm gutted that this is happening. I do feel shocked at this protest, but surely this isn't a true representation of all the Muslims in Luton. I need to track down my old Asian pals. Time to go back to school. Do you know what? I was literally like every single day. My mum would go, "Why do you do it to yourself every morning?" And I'd go, "Mum, just shut up!" I couldn't believe some of my old teachers were still teaching there. Oh my God!
Oh my God! How are you doing?
They brought out some embarrassing old photos.
Wow.
This is me. Look at me there. There's Melissa. Oh wow. Alicia.
Are you in touch with any of them?
Do you know, I'm still pally with Alicia. I still speak to Alicia, but not so much. But sadly, my teachers didn't have any contact numbers for my old friends. You know, of course, here in Stopsley, the kids are all pally. They are all very mixed. The black lads, Asian lads, white lads, they all go back together. And that's nice. And that's what I hope continues in their adult life, because it's not what happened with me. So maybe it's because, you know, when I was 17, 18, I was going out in the town, boozing. I was bit of free spirit, and maybe my Asian girlfriends, they didn't come out into town with me, they didn't drink, they were very focused, very studied. I tried to contact my old schoolmates.
You try again later.
Even one friend who had converted to Islam. How's things? It's Stacey Dooley calling. I was getting nowhere until one old pal did agree to meet me.
Thanks ever so much. Bye now. Right now, I'm on my way to go and meet a girl called Amara. We went to school together, same junior, same high school. And she is what I would class as a moderate Muslim. You know, she takes faith very seriously and she's quite into her religion. So I think she'll be really in the know. Amara!
How are you? It's been so long,
Oh my God, you look beautiful.
So do you?
You look totally happening. Hello, love. Hey, you're right. Oh my God, Amara, how's things? I haven't saw you in 8 years.
Yeah. It's good.
What's been going on?
Work.
I know that feeling.
Are you all over TV?
I know, what about that?
Got something to show you.
What is it? Is it our
Picture.
Good, Amara, you're killing me.
I look horrible.
Oh no, you haven't got your scarf on there.
Yeah, I didn't used to have one.
When did you start wearing your headscarf? Did you wear it at school?
No, halfway through college, I think.
Halfway through college.
Yeah. So I didn't get forced.
No one will force you to do anything, Amara. No, I don't know how much you know about like why I'm back in Luton. You know, in the press, sort of sometimes Islam gets a rough old time, and me myself, I know that there's really amazing Muslim people in this town, and I know you're totally cool. Amari's such a nice girl. You do take your faith quite seriously.
Yeah, I do.
Quite strict, aren't you, about your praying?
I'm not strict. I would say I'm moderate. Like,
what's
you know,
the difference between moderate and strict?
Like strict, I mean, I would still, like, strict people, I would say, you know, they don't really free mix with guys and they wouldn't talk to boys that they're not related to. Whereas I go out with my cousins, I have guys that I talk to, not because, you know, I'm flirting or anything, but I talk to them on a daily basis, like, how are you? Even at work, you're talking to people all the time.
After recently coming across Islamic extremists, I wanted to know from Amara whether this was the norm for Luton.
For Luton to be seen as a place of extremism, I just think, oh, it's ridiculous. You know, every single town has a few bad people, or, you know, people with, not bad people, but people with different views. And, you know, I know there's a couple of people who actually preach on the streets. In Bury Park there is a table and they have leaflets, and I think those people get focused on, but I've not actually stopped to see what they're about. I mean, they're just sharing out leaflets and talking to people, but those are the only two or three people I would say that they want to share the message. But it's like, whoever shouts the loudest seems to get heard the most. I don't think a lot of people know what Islam's about. They know Islam because of what the TV says, what the media says, and they believe it without questioning it.
It was great to see Amara, and her observation about those who shout the loudest reminded me of another extreme group in Luton, the English Defence League. In 2009, soldiers from a Luton regiment returning from Afghanistan were spat on and shouted at by 12 radical Muslims. In retaliation, non-Muslims fought back.
The trouble with Luton is, we've lost a town.
Do you feel like that?
I think every big city and town's gone in this country.
Really?
I really do.
Yeah.
And the people that don't live in big towns and cities don't realise what's going on.
Right.
That's not being racist, that's being factual. You know, these people come in and they should, if they want to be in their country, they should live like we do and live to our rules. Because if you went to Mecca and wanted to put a Catholic church there, you couldn't.
It's tricky, isn't it?
I think I've been stood up. Been stood up and blown out again. I have that effect on men. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Yet again, Stephen Lennon has failed to show, but at least this time his number 2, Kev Carroll, has turned up. Some say the EDL are very aggressive, so I wanted to hear his take on that march that seemed to polarise my hometown.
And we saw the placards, so we ran up there, and then it turned out to be the Muslim extremists. None of them were searched. They could have had anything strapped to them. They let them get so close to our soldiers. They could have had C4 on them. One of them could have pushed that button and took out half of that regiment. That's a joke.
Was there violence? Was there?
No, people were trying. People were trying to get them. Them Muslim extremist scum that did that on the day needed a punch on the bloody nose, or a punch on the nose to make it bloody.
Do you feel like you had no alternative but to fall?
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Let's say that. That was just it. That was just like, you are now taking the piss. We get demonised by the press, yeah? Me particularly, because people look at me and they think, oh, he seems a bit aggressive, right? I'm not aggressive, I'm just passionate, you know?
Are you genuinely just standing up against militant Islam, or are you standing up against Islam?
Islam has failed to integrate into this nation. That's what's problem is. Black, white, Chinese, Sikh, Hindu, Buddhist, everybody gets on like a house on fire in Luton, except for the Islamic community, because they they do not want to integrate. They haven't integrated, and that's a fact. That's what I'm saying. It's the truth, and they admit that themselves. They haven't. They live in their enclave. There are Muslim children in this town that live in Luton town, that live in Bury Park, and they do not speak to a non-Muslim. You want to live in this country side by side in peace and harmony, you know, fine, great. But don't stand on our street corners calling for the implementation of Sharia law, which is a backward, retarded, 7th century dogma that wants to murder homosexuals, gay men and women, murder them, throw them from the cliffs. It wants stoning of women. It's horrific.
The EDL seem to think Muslims want to impose primitive rules and punishments on Britain, so I needed to find out if there was any truth in this. I've arranged to go meet a guy, Omar, who I used to work with at the airport, and he's completely in the know about Islam and Muslims. He's a real hive of knowledge, so I need to go and have a chat with him and just ask him 1,000 questions. Hey!
You're right, how you been? Not bad, how you
Oh, thank you for seeing me.
It's okay.
You're super in the know, so I just wondered if you could really dumb it down for me. Like, tell me what Sharia law is.
Sharia law is a method of living in the world. That's what helps you to be a Muslim every day. For example, adultery is seen in Sharia law, and its penalty is given as something like stoning. And that's shocking, but it's almost fictional, because in order for the punishment to go through, right, 1, people need to accuse you. 2, you need to have 4 witnesses that don't just see like a man on top of a woman, that see penetration. So the point of that is it shows you that punishments or penalties for crimes are actually just huge deterrents. They're spiritual deterrents if you think about it.
Is that something that all Muslims want that live here, or is that just a myth?
Well, Sharia law, all Muslims want Sharia because personal...
Inside them.
Inside them, in our personal families, we have Sharia here whether you like it or not. Every day you see somebody pray, that's a type of them acting out Sharia.
Yeah.
So we all have Sharia within us, but when you talk about the legal system that governs certain countries, it doesn't even apply here, because you can't just kind of like create your own community and say,
We've decided we want Sharia law.
Exactly, so we're going to create Sharia law, and we're going to go out, and then this person's going to do this, and then we're going to give them the punishment for that. It doesn't add up, because we're not a vigilante system. You know, you can't take the law into your own hands. So if you live in a country that's non-Muslim, you have to respect that.
My friend Omar's view of Islam and its laws is much more mainstream than the EDL's. So I wanted to find out which version typical white families from my old part of Luton believe. I'm off to go and meet a lad called Michael, typical Lutonian, just to hear his kind of views really. Does he hang about with Muslim lads? Is he familiar with Islam? Does he know anything about it? And just to see his views, just to see what him and his family think. So yeah, I think I should get quite a lot from it. I mean, there are issues, aren't there, in Luton? We always get sort of bad press. All the EDL boys sort of got a bad name. Do you guys feel that in Luton as Lutonians?
I try not to get involved, but I know where the EDL are coming from with their views and everything. So some of the things they say, people will want to say them, but they're thinking of consequence and what's going to happen to them. So it's about time someone did stand up and say something. Well, I ain't going to stand up and say it, I'll tell you that now, I'll keep my things to myself. But I'll take my hat off to some of the things they're saying, you know what I mean? Fair play to them.
Yeah. Have you guys ever spent any time there?
It feels like you're abroad. Yeah, if you go like Bury Park early hours in the morning, it does feel like you're in Spain or something, because you've got bright lights, you've got music on, and it's a lot different. Every other area is quiet, peaceful.
It's not somewhere I go to choose to go and walk down, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so just keep myself to myself, keep away from that sort of thing.
Yeah. Have you spent time there, Jade? Have you been to Bury Park?
I'm scared to go to Bury Park.
Yeah. Do you feel, because obviously you're not Asian and it is predominantly an Asian area, do you think that would make you feel a bit out of sort? Do you think there is cultural divides? What do you guys think?
None of us could really tell you too much about their religion or what happens or nothing. Anyone in the room could tell you that. We're not clued up about that sort of thing.
I really wish I knew more about the Asian community, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it. I'm embarrassed to say I don't.
Pleased I went to see Michael and his family. Got quite a lot out of it, actually. You know, he was very honest. He was saying, you know, there are certain things that Kev says and the EDL say that he can sympathise with. You know, he gets what they're saying. But, you know, then on the other hand, he did say,
You know, I don't know a lot about Muslims. I know hardly anything about Islam. He was the first to say that, and you know, the family did go on to say perhaps it's worth trying to learn a bit more. And then I thought, oh, you know, that was a nice thing to hear, because I thought, oh, well, maybe, you know, if you were up for learning more and then you went out and had a chat with the Muslim lads, you know, maybe you'd come to your own conclusions.
I'm going back into Bury Park, but this time I want to hear from moderate Muslims who live here and find out what they think about the town's extremist reputation and if there is any truth in what the EDL say about Islam. Where better place to start than Luton's oldest and largest mosque, the Central Mosque.
This is my first time I've ever visited a mosque, so no, I'm really quite up for it. The guys have asked me to cover my head, so I've just put my scarf round. So I hope it looks okay. I hope I don't get there and they go, go on your head. Thank you very much.
This is the main prayer hall of the mosque.
Wow. My God. I've never been anywhere like this before. It's very pretty. It's very glam, isn't it, with all the lights and the colour?
If you have a look over there, you can see one of the names of God.
Yeah.
And that particular one is Ya Salamu in Arabic.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that word.
Yeah.
Does sometimes Muslims say salam to each other?
That's right. When we greet each other, we say salam, and that also means peace. So peace be upon you.
It's a good reminder for this day and age.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that if you do believe in God, you should be peaceful.
There were some Muslim lads, weren't there? A handful of Muslim lads with posters and banners when the soldiers were marching through.
Yes.
They couldn't have been Muslims because they wouldn't have done that. Is that right? Or
No, I'd say...
do you know what I mean? Like, would they... because if they are going there to kick off and cause trouble, that makes them as bad as the EDL.
You have different groups in Islam. We can only speak for ourselves.
Okay, so would they be a different group to you?
They were most likely a different group to us.
Okay.
That's right.
Oh, I understand. All right. So they wouldn't worship somewhere like here?
No, they wouldn't.
We don't have radical worshippers in this mosque.
No, we have nice ones in this mosque. Wow.
I wanted to find out more, so the men took me upstairs to meet the girls.
Hello, girls. Hey.
This is the women's area.
Hey, with the girls.
There's no place for terrorism in Islam. It's against Islam. If you kill one innocent person, you kill the whole of humanity. So I don't know where they just get lines from the Quran and they twist it in. They make their own interpretation out of it. So they'll say, oh, jihad, or I'm going to go on the train and I'm going to commit jihad. That's not correct. Jihad is only on a battlefield. 9/11, no, that is totally against Islam because you've killed the whole of humanity.
To quote one of my cousins, she always says that once you become a terrorist, you're no longer a Muslim because there's nothing in Islam about terrorism.
Some people that maybe aren't pally with Muslims or aren't familiar with Islam look at one Muslim and think, right, that's how every single Muslim is in the whole of Luton. Does it upset you to think that people look at you and think, oh, I've got the measure of you, I know what you're like?
Like, you look at us, you see one colour and you think,
everyone's the same.
No, we're not the
They're
same.
all the same, they all think the same. Yeah, no, I know. And I think that's it, isn't it? Do you know the EDL? How do you know about them? What do you
They
know
always
about
threaten to come to Bury Park. We live in Bury Park, to come beat the people up or something. So
Are you scared of the EDL?
No.
They're just a bunch of idiots, really.
I
So
think it's
I don't think
football
we'd be
hooligans
scared
who
of
have
them.
been banned from going to matches and they've just thought of something else to do and thought, yeah, I've got something else to hate for no reason.
I think that's why it's a shame, you know, if people don't take the time to go knock about with different people who aren't exactly themselves, the same as themselves. That's where issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. People are afraid of what they don't know.
Yes.
And they're too ignorant to actually go and do something about knowing.
Yeah. To me, it seems like quite a peaceful religion, which is why it's so frustrating to think that a few Muslims ruin it for the rest of the Muslims here in Luton. I feel completely overwhelmed. I feel like I've learnt loads today and I'm made up that I went to the Central Mosque. It's so different to everything that I'm used to in Luton. It's like being in a different town. It's like not being in my town. It's shown me how easy it is for different crowds to get things mixed up and to make assumptions and to say things when they're not sure that's even true, because it is so complex and it is so complicated. I'm starting to understand how things are said that maybe aren't accurate.
The problem with Luton is that although the Central Mosque preaches peace, just down the road it's a very different story.
Free magazine.
Exposing British regime, how they're behaving to Muslims.
Okay.
Have a look. It's quite good.
Thank you. I mean, you know, it says democracy, and then it's got like a sketch of a hand with blood pouring down it, which is quite out there, really. And you know, some of the bullet points are quite extreme. You know, democracy destroys life, democracy pollutes the mind. They're quite anti-government, they're quite anti-Britain, you know. I think from this literature, they're trying to say that, you know, the government are corrupting us and democracy is a bad thing and everything's awful at the minute. It's just so out there, like sex objects. That's why people get raped, because of democracy. What?
Also on the same high street was Saif al-Islam. He used to be a member of Al-Muhajirin, a now banned organisation responsible for terrorist atrocities abroad and in the UK. I needed to talk to him.
Are you happy to have a chat whenever you're ready?
What is, if you just speak to my colleague first, yeah?
Which one?
I got,
sure, yeah.
Them guys there.
Which one?
Them two there.
These two?
Yeah.
Okay, how long will you be until you're free?
I just got something to sort out.
Sure, like an hour, half an hour?
I'm not sure, I can't give you, but as soon as I finish, I'll come over.
Okay, thank you. Hi. Saiful's just asked me to ask you two guys when you're ready to have a chat. Do you think Saiful will have a chat with us as well? He said that he can't give me a time, he's busy. But
He's busy, isn't he? I can't really say much.
Okay. I couldn't get Saiful, but maybe I could find out from these two whether they were preaching extreme views.
What's your name?
I'm Abu Farouk.
Albo Farouk.
Abu Abdullah.
Nice to meet you.
No, we do not handshake with opposite gender. In Islam, we have regulations. So we're
Okay.
not going to break these regulations for the society's rules and customs. So obviously, we do not dishonor or degrade honor women in Islam. Unlike in this society, obviously, women is treated as a sex object and they make them uncover and all of that, which is contradictory to Islam altogether.
So is what you're saying that you think women in this country are degraded?
Absolutely. The proof of it, you can see your billboards, your advertising, your buses.
In order to sell a Snickers bar, you need to strip a woman naked. Sell a car, strip a woman naked. You know, we can see how obviously women are humiliated at the moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the reality.
What about fragrances when you've got half-naked men in just a pair of swimming trunks? Do you shake men's hands?
It goes to show that you are both oppressing the men and the woman in the society. If you believe that I, as a Muslim, believe homosexuality is a sin, then I'm an extremist. If you believe that I, as a Muslim, don't believe in the idea of democracy or don't believe in the idea of freedom, secularism, indeed I'm an extremist if you perceive that is. Because these are our Islamic core beliefs are. You know, Islam has the answer to all way of any problem that people are facing. Capitalism, your democracy, is failure in the society. Let me allow to explain it to you. And that's why we come out to discuss and explain to the people. You are looking for alternative, but you just don't know what. You vilified Islam to the level that that is the real solution which you cannot perceive. Okay, let me ask you something. I'm not Al-Qaeda. I'm not with the camp of the Mujahideen, okay?
You're not with Al-Muhajirin.
Hang on. If I say to you, I support or I agree with Al-Qaeda, if I say that, yeah, would I be arrested? Yes or no? Of course, because this is illegal. You can't do that in this country.
Do you agree with the Al-Qaeda?
This is illegal. You can't do that in this country. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because Al-Qaeda...
Why is that? Well, hang on. You need to understand something, yeah? Is that you can easily point that question to the Muslim, but when the Muslim pointed back towards you, you can't handle it. When the Muslim throws it back at you to say that your soldiers have been committing atrocities, if you vote for them, the government who's been sending the troops, if you pat your soldiers on the back, then you're as guilty as them. You're edging them on, you're continuing telling them, motivating them. Muslim, you see that you're motivating your troops to kill us. How dare you?
Those soldiers, those terrorists, those baby killers, those butchers, they need to be brought home.
My
Those
God.
rapists,
Tell your
they need
butchers
to
of
be
Basra
brought
to come back home.
The butchers
Can
of
you do that?
Basra,
Why
they
not?
need to come
Do
home.
you know what?
Tell those baby killers to come back home.
No, we don't
Those
vote.
murderers.
No, we don't vote. Islam is the way for revival, and it's just a matter of time for us to pass that message out to the people, and they will wake up. And soon you will find the sleeping giants, which is the Muslim, they will awake. And you will find that Islam will be dominant.
Is Muslim country, if Iraq, Afghanistan, under occupation? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Or that?
I don't know enough.
You are a naive woman. You are one naive woman.
No, but listen, we've been...
So,
hang on a second.
that's the reality.
We are just opposite ends of the spectrum, so everything they say and everything I say, we're never, ever, ever, ever going to agree. And that scares me and that makes me sad because that makes me feel like we're always going to have issues in Luton. And, you know, how is someone like me and someone like them ever going to live in harmony? It's never going to happen. know if extreme people themselves go as far as you could go. You know, sort of terrorism and acts of violence. I don't know if they themselves would do it, but I suspect them kinds of people would encourage others and applaud others that maybe did think about taking that route, you know, pushing that one step further. And that's when terrorists start coming into the equation and bombs.
I wanted to find out how influential radical preaching could be. I went back to the Central Mosque to speak to teacher Majib, who had first-hand experience of dealing with the extremist preachers of Bury Park. How far do you think they would go? Because they do seem pretty sort of
The most I've heard is we'll send you Iraq to fight the American soldiers and stuff, but it's never happened.
Do you think they would encourage, they wouldn't do it themselves, but would they encourage others?
They'd encourage others to do it, but they'll never do it themselves. Never.
That's
because they're too afraid.
Yeah. So then they're not.
And the thing is, when they say that, you know, there's a holy war out there and you should go fight it, the question is, why don't you go? They haven't got no answer.
Do you know what? I was just going to say that. It's interesting that they're happy to encourage everyone else to go off and do it, but they're not happy to go themselves.
It's very coward. It's like childish behaviour. But them themselves, they've got every excuse to stay. At one point, I did say to one of them that, look, he was speaking to me, and I said to him, hold on, you go to fight, and I promise you I'll do what you're doing.
What did he say?
He goes, no, brother, I've got a wife and kids at home.
Oh, so it's all right for you to go and get yourself in the thick of it, but they're not coming.
Majib is in no doubt that the message is very dangerous.
When they say messages, they'll say some key points that maybe as a Muslim people would think, you know what, they're right.
Yeah.
You know, when they said that, look, stop the war in Iraq, they made it was as if they're the biggest voice that's saying that. So obviously, as a Muslim, I personally said I don't want there to be a war in Iraq or Afghanistan. I'd say hands up.
Yeah.
But then young kids seeing that on telly made them think, you know what, nobody else is talking. They must be right.
It saddens me that young, vulnerable Lutonians are being groomed by the radicals, and I'm keen to find out what kinds of person would be attracted to their message.
Arranged to go meet a guy called Muggsy. I'm on my way now. He is working in a group called Diverse FM, who are there, I think, to help kids that could maybe be radicalised or taken into naughty groups. So yeah, really up for it.
This group is at the sharp end of helping troubled Lutonian youth, including young Muslims susceptible to extremist views. Muggsy told me about one of his students, Jabed, who has strong opinions about British troops abroad.
Do you believe, Jabed, that the war is a war on Islam? Do you really believe that, or
Yeah, I believe
you
that
do?
is.
Wow.
Countries like the USA, the UK and stuff like that, they're not letting any other country run the way the people of the country want the country to be run.
Okay.
Instead, they're going there, they're taking over forcefully, and they're putting their own puppets there to run the country.
That upsets me that you think that, because I obviously can't talk on behalf of the government, but I can speak as a white non-Muslim that me and many people I know that aren't Muslims would never want Muslims to feel like the war is on Islam. My personal view, I think the war has got to be on terrorism and extremism.
His views sounded very similar to those I'd heard on the streets of Bury Park, the message from those ex-members of the Al-Muhajirin or AMs. Jabed had found himself drawn to them.
Like the AMs, I felt like close to them, so I thought I'll try and become like full-time with them.
Jabed's no longer with the AMs, but speaking to him, it became clear the types of people this group target.
My mum passed away when I was 14.
I'm sorry.
And I got my dad, and I got 6 older brothers, 2 older sisters. My eldest sister and her 2 kids, she's living with us because her husband's in prison at the moment.
Her husband's in prison?
Yeah.
What's he in prison for?
Terrorism.
Wow. How long has he been inside for?
It's been about a year now.
Jabed could have been a prime candidate to head down the roads of extremism, but Diverse intervened, offering him a new focus with his music.
Honestly, I hope Jabed gets it together, because I can just see how he could go one way or the other, and I'd be sad if it went the wrong way. I feel like Muggsy's spot on though. I feel like he was the one who grabbed him off Bury Park and brought him into Diverse. Thank God we've got people like Muggsy.
Muggsy and youth worker Abdul offered to show me around their catchment area, and I was instantly reminded how important their work is.
This is Argyle Avenue.
Argyle Avenue has been in the news, it's been in the press loads and loads and loads. That's where the Stockholm bomber and his wife lived.
That's right, yeah, they lived on this road.
On this road?
Yeah.
What one was it? Do you know which house it was?
I think it was number 15, that's right,
That
yeah.
would have been the home where the Stockholm bomber and his wife lived.
That's right, yeah.
But the guys reassured me that people like the Stockholm bomber are a misguided few.
I think the only issue with Luton is we have got extreme groups.
Yeah, but that's just on a minority.
Yeah, yeah,
they don't really
yeah,
represent the majority of the people in Luton.
My name's Stacey.
Stacey, nice to meet you,
Really,
Stacey.
really nice to meet you.
Stacey.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. So, what made you come to this road?
Getting myself in trouble following Muggsy.
Great.
But no, I haven't spent a great deal of time in Bury Park.
Okay.
Which is
But
mad.
you know what? I think I've met you somewhere before.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Good chat Luton?
Huh? Luton? Probably in a club, yeah.
Maybe. Are you a Muslim lad?
I'm a Muslim.
What are you doing in a nightclub?
You know what? I was only joking with you, really. You know, we be in the mosque all the time. You know what I mean?
All I do is go to the mosque. I don't go to nightclubs and speak to girls.
What do you think of Luton so far then?
Yes, what do you think of Luton?
Basically, I've got a call at the moment. Yeah, I'm really busy at the moment. I'll call you back. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, what
Are
was
you
it?
on the phone to that boy who's like 2 metres down the road?
Yeah.
Tell me about Luton.
I was born here, bred here,
Raised here?
and I think it's the safest.
Yeah?
Yeah, really, and I'm being honest here.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Luton is the most like. You know what? Obviously, you do get like a few boys in the alleyway smoking their spliff, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's normal, though. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day,
Why have you got two phones?
huh?
Why have you got two phones?
That's my mum's.
One's for girls,
Yeah.
one for family.
Tell me about it. That's the one. Do you have a boyfriend by any chance?
No, I don't. Do you have a girlfriend?
Do you know what? I don't. Do you want to take my number and we could go out sometime?
Yeah, take my number. Take me to
You know what? My mum's looking out the window.
Will you be in trouble if you're
Yeah.
seen speaking to a white girl, non-Muslim white
Yeah,
girl?
tell me about it.
Well,
That's
yeah.
why you leave him your number to him, and when I see him later on, I'll take care of him. Yeah, 'cause-
The community vibe is so strong here, and I love it. But then I hear something that reminds me how diverse this part of my town is becoming.
Is that what's that noise?
That's the azan. That's for the prayer time. The
Prayer
prayer's
time.
coming in. One of the prayers, the third prayer of the day has come.
You know the mosque we passed, the central mosque?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have never ever, the whole
Experience that.
time I've lived here, I've never heard the call to prayer in Luton. That's another interesting thing, isn't it? I wonder how the old white working class folk, I wonder how they feel about listening to the call to prayer.
No one has actually complained, to be honest. Actually, it's quite good. You know, there's a feeling that, you know, you're living like in a Muslim country in a way, sort of thing. Also,
Wow.
Islam.
That's a big statement. It's like living in a Muslim country. Do you feel
Yeah.
like it's like living in a Muslim country in Bury Park?
It is, yeah, in a bit. Yeah, you got all the shops there, all the Muslims there. Sometimes, you know, there's a days that I will see a white person in Bury Park.
You
there's
won't
days
see a white
Yeah,
person?
in my day. So.
And just around the corner, I come face to face with one of the sides of Islam that most upset people like the EDL.
I was walking down this road and I met a couple of girls who were in the full-on burqa and they were really sweet. And then they went, Stacey, we watch all your programmes off the telly, can we have a picture? Took all their little burqas off, it's really sweet. And they come to speak to us. No! Nice to see you again. I made up, I bumped into you because I think there can sometimes be maybe a misconception. So it'd be nice to hear what you girls reckon. But yeah, we'll go and have a tea. Will we go this way? So talk me through the niqab, because I'm obviously totally out the loop, niqab-wise.
It's part of our religion. Girls aren't supposed to be mixing with boys.
Okay.
And this is like, in a sense, a protection.
Yeah, there are some maybe people in Luton and England oh, you know, girls shouldn't wear niqabs or burqas because we can't see their face, we can't see their expressions. Can you sympathise with what they're saying?
Normally how they see girls around town, they just want it to stay like that. They're not really used to it. So I can get them in that case, but then again, it is our choice.
Do you feel like sometimes people who aren't Muslim judge you without even talking to you and just like give you dirty looks? Does it go that far? Do they give you dirty looks?
Yes.
Sometimes they even say stuff.
When they were in Luton, kids, they were shopping and another girl was like, oh, I don't want to touch her, she's Muslim, she's betraying me. Yeah.
I wanted to experience what living in Luton was like for these girls. So the next day they agreed to help me see the town through their eyes.
Is there any room at the end? Yeah, I can see that. I look so different, don't I?
We headed for the town centre.
This is my first ever outing in my niqab. Oh my God, I wonder how people are going to act towards me.
I know. Quite excited to find out.
I better not get any lip, else I'll be like, what did you say?
Oh my gosh, they're looking back at us as well.
I do feel so different in this. I feel like people are kind of staring a little bit. Oh my God, my heart's pounding.
Right, don't be scared.
That man's just told me to take my mask off.
Who?
That man over there has just told me to take my mask off. I would never, ever, ever dream of saying anything like that to anyone. Like, I genuinely wouldn't. Why do people think they can dictate what you wear? I mean, how does it make you feel when people say stuff like that?
No,
I'm scared of Oh, don't be scared. You'll get no lip when you're with me. I'll give him a knuckle sandwich. It's not good, though. It's a shame. It's a shame that he's acted like that. My God. Do you know what? And I'm not just saying this like to be dramatic. I actually felt really uncomfy. The thing is, in Bury Park, I feel totally comfy. I even forgot I had it on at one point. And I stepped out of Bury Park and I came down the town and I automatically felt really different. I knew you'd get a few stares and, you know, people aren't evil and racist because they stare, but I didn't think I'd get that kind of nonsense off people. Take your mask off. It probably would be easier, wouldn't it, to just stay in Bury Park?
I was keen to make one last attempt to get hold of the head of the EDL.
When you have finished, you may hang up or press 1 to change your message.
Then finally, a break. Stephen has agreed to meet me in a town centre hotel.
You love Luton, you're really passionate about it. Do you feel like you're doing Luton proud? Do you feel like
I think
the EDL is a good thing for Luton?
I think it is, yeah, because before the EDL, all Luton was known as was the hotbed of militant Islam and all these bombers and all these extremists and all these terrorist plans. Now it's known as the fight back against them.
Do you feel like your voice is representative of white working class folk? Do you think you speak on behalf of a great deal of Lutonians?
We don't feel part of the fabric that makes this town anymore because we've been pushed out. I'll be the first. I say it to the English Defence League all the time. We have to point out there are some great Muslims, yeah, all right? But
and that's nice to hear you say, because I've never heard you say that.
I say it in every interview I do, but they don't play it.
You're very...
You won't play it.
The thing, no, but we're trying to get to speak to you because I do know you and I don't think you're this evil moron. You're not an angel by any stretch of the imagination.
And that's the main thing I always say is I'm not an angel. I don't claim to be sitting here polishing my halo. I'm a normal lad who's from Luton. And I love Luton and I want what's best for Luton. And I'm sorry, but the complete spread of Islamism across this town is not good for it.
Muslims who live in Luton, if they want to live their life by following Sharia law, then that's their business and that's absolutely their right. Because it's their religion. How you can't dictate to everyone in Luton, yes, you should live like this.
So we should allow them to start cutting off hands and limbs. Well, where'd you stop then? Where'd you stop?
But just the way that the penalty. No, Sharia law. I'm not saying it's not good for this country. I don't think we need Sharia law in this country. I'm not for Sharia law.
And what about those?
But you should, if they want to live like that,
those Muslim women,
leave them to it.
If they want Sharia law, get on a plane, go back to where they've come from, and you have Sharia law.
What about the ones that were born here?
Well, why do they want Sharia law? A lot of their parents come here to escape Sharia law.
I've persuaded Stephen to walk through Luton with me.
You're going to get me head kicked in knocking about with you in the town?
My head kicked in.
How often do you walk about Luton?
I walk into town every day. I just
I don't do it with my missus or kids. I haven't done it with my missus or kids for 2 years. I could be driving in my car and have cars full of Muslim young lads pulling up, trying to fucking round me off the road and all sorts. I got 13 stitches just walking just under there. It ain't been good. It hasn't been good for my wife. And she disagrees with it. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't agree with what the EDL stands for. Neither do her family. They certainly don't.
That's crazy to think, you know, she doesn't agree with the EDL, but she's married to the leader of the EDL.
I wasn't leader of the EDL when she met me. You know? The police were sat her down, told her she needs to leave Luton for the foreseeable future because there's going to be an immediate attempt on her life. Islam rules with fear and intimidation. So if we allow it to intimidate us, then yeah, I'll stop the EDL and I'll close the EDL down. And then they get what they want. They get a free run.
I mean, how do you feel about this lady?
It's wrong.
You feel like that is categorically
I don't feel anything
wrong?
towards her. She's just a young lady. But at the same time, that's wrong. Right, imagine every single woman wore that, like in Saudi. What would your day be like? There'd be no communication, there'd be no integration. It's just wrong.
The burqa and the niqab's a really tricky situation because...
It's not tricky, it's just,
no,
it's
it is,
just
because
wrong.
you have to let people dress how they want to dress and you have to accept
So I could walk around
people...
with balaclava. I'd happily, same as in France, I'd happily then ban balaclavas and burqas. Ban everyone from face coverings in public. If you're walking along here, you shouldn't be able to cover your face for security issues.
But because I'm white and I'm a woman and I'm not a Muslim,
He won't talk to
they
you.
won't talk to me.
Yeah, well that's how they feel, isn't it? Look, he stopped. He stopped once he heard you say Muslim.
Are you all right? Do you want to speak to us?
Yeah, well, you said Muslims don't talk to you.
No, I didn't say that. I said one Muslim.
I was having a go at you.
Because one Muslim did refuse to speak to me. Please,
As I
can I
said,
just say?
don't
hang on
talk
a
about
second.
Islam.
No, hang on a second.
He don't like you talking about Muslims, man. That's what you just heard, isn't it?
I'm not worried
But
about
let's
that.
Well, you just heard her talk and you didn't like it, man. He didn't. Yeah,
We're
but you didn't
all
like. No,
adults.
but the
I'm not
problem was
worried,
that you
mate.
spoke about a
Because it's the
Muslim.
truth anyway, so I'm not
Yeah.
worried.
Do you agree in Sharia law?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you agree in Sharia law 100%?
Absolutely 100%.
So you agree in the cutting off of hands?
Only if it's absolutely
Okay,
necessary.
so you agree in older men sleeping with younger children, having sexual
No, I
intercourse?
agree with men
like
sleeping with women that are old
9
enough.
years old.
Old enough.
10 years old.
No,
11 years. That's Sharia law, bro. 11 years old. That's Sharia law.
If the woman is...
That's Sharia law.
It's a big issue,
If the woman's bleeding...
It's a big issue, and I haven't got knowledge, right?
If the woman's bleeding, she's 11 years old, you can have sex with her. But is your goal in modern Britain to emulate the Prophet Muhammad?
My personal goal is to follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Precisely, there you go.
In that which is correct. What's your goal? What do you want to achieve?
I want peace, but we haven't got it, bro. Yeah, if all Muslims think like you and want Sharia law, this is not going to work.
We want Sharia law that is correct, that's applied with wisdom, by people with knowledge.
You can be a really nice bloke here and we can agree all we want here, but when you say, do you want Sharia law, he says, yeah. Absolutely. For me, that's the end of the conversation.
You can't close your ears.
Absolutely.
You can't close your ears after that. Because where are you going to go?
No, it's his belief.
Yeah.
No, it's his belief. What I'm saying is, that's never going to work. You'd walk away from that saying he was a really nice, moderate Muslim.
But I think he was.
Yeah, but he still wants Sharia law.
But he's not imposing it on anyone.
But he will when there's enough of them.
You should study on Sharia law before you start talking about it, man.
Why do I?
Yeah, do some stuff. Don't video him, man. Yeah, do some research.
Are you coming back
I have,
now?
bruv.
Read the books.
I don't need to read books.
Don't listen to the chatter. Read the books before you start.
Mate, anyone who cuts off people's hands, I disagree with.
Soon, several young men were following us, and I was beginning to feel on edge.
I'm not doing myself any favours walking around.
You just tell me if anyone's come behind me.
I was keen to find out what the two young lads really thought of Stephen.
You've got an issue with him. What is that issue?
You've got no issue. It's just that you can't, like, if someone does something wrong in the community, you can't blame the whole community for it.
Yeah, and that's
so
completely
you
correct.
can't turn around and say all Muslims are terrorists,
Yep.
we're extremists, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah. Bruv, you say Islam teaches extremists, Islam teaches this, Islam teaches that. Why don't you know what, me and you get into contact, I'll get your English Quran, we'll sit together, we'll read through it, and you tell me where it says Islam is extremist, Islam is this, Islam is that. But we're a religion of peace.
If this Christian was saying some fucked up shit, man, he wouldn't be my brother.
But still, if he's a believer, if he believes in the Shahada, he's a brother, he's a Muslim.
Tensions rise as more and more people want to have their say with Stephen.
I'm Sana and I'm a pharmacist and also I'm a Muslim as well, liberated woman. So what kind of opinions do you have about Islam? I mean, you'd like
I have no opinions against yourself, yeah?
Right, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've never said anything against Muslims. I have certain problems with certain things in Islam.
Okay.
I have a problem with Al-Mujahideen. I have a problem with the way that no one from Berry Park deals with them.
No, Muslims in general.
No, I know Muslims are extremists.
In general.
I said
I don't know about the
Al-Mujahideen.
groups. I haven't got no knowledge about them. They could be anybody. I don't know. And what they were trying.
Muslims, they actually denied Jesus.
How can you divide?
They made him. No, they made him a lesser man.
Hang on,
They made him a lesser man. Yeah, they did. They made him a lesser man.
It was clear it was going to take more than a walk through town to bring the two sides together.
You know, as Lutonians, you come into Luton, you start talking about this topic, every single person has a strong opinion and everyone feels passionate about what they're saying. So it's just finding a way of people listening to other people. That's what you need to do.
3 weeks ago, my journey began in Bury Park, wrestling with Islamic extremists. And since then, I've heard many different opinions, from reasonable to radical. Luton is divided, but I think there is a way we can start to overcome this.
If we all knock about together and you know, even if you think different views, if you're willing to try and understand from the other point of view, I think that's always really important, especially in a town like Luton. We have got problems, there are issues, there are extremists in Luton, but it's a tiny, tiny minority. Talking about it, raising the subject, and realising that there's other sides than just yours, I think that's worth doing. We're never, ever, ever going to get anywhere. We're never going to get closer to solving anything unless we all communicate, we all speak to one another. And ignorance is what causes extremism. Ignorance is what causes so many problems that are here today in Luton.